Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to our webinar, The Anatomy of a Personalized Newsletter. If you can hear me okay, if you'll take a second and let me know in your chat window, that would be great. I'd like to introduce myself as the moderator of today's webinar on the next slide. My name is Joy Yugi, and I'm the Digital Marketing Coordinator here at What Counts. If you'd like to tweet about our webinar, use the hashtag #NewsletterAnatomy. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @WhatCounts. Now let's meet our speaker. Mike Pierce is What Counts VP of Sales, where he is responsible for growing revenue, building relationships, finding innovative solutions for prospective clients, and managing our team of business development managers. He's also a dad, as you can see his cute kids here. Mike, I'll now hand it over to you to dive into the anatomy of a personalized webinar.
Great. Thanks, Joy, for the introduction, and I appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedules to come and spend 60 minutes with our team to learn about, obviously, the anatomy of a personalized newsletter. I'll move past my children here and into the overview for some of those attendees that are not current customers of What Counts. I just wanted to spend, I guess, just one or 2 minutes on our company just to give everyone a little bit of background of who we are and who we work with. But we've been around since 1999, so as long as any other email service provider in the space, we've got pretty substantial sized clients such as Costco, Navy Federal Credit Union, Fox News, and we work with all sizes of companies, helping them send smarter, more personalized email messages. In addition to our software, we also provide a full-service email agency where we can provide a lot of strategic services, creative design services, campaign deployment solutions, data integration services, and any delivery consulting solutions. We're platform agnostic with this group, and if you are interested in talking to any of our agency team, we're happy to have those conversations with you. Let's move forward. So today we're here to talk about the anatomy of a personalized email newsletter. And when we thought about what would be a really well-done personalized email newsletter, we started to think about the key ingredients and what exactly it would look like if every part of that newsletter was personalized based on either the business need of the customer or the subscriber's interest in the brand. And so we looked at, obviously, the editorial piece of that newsletter and how we would want to personalize the newsletter to increase website traffic. So one of the ways we could do that is obviously through website behavioral personalization, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. The other would be how our clients would monetize the newsletter and basically drive ad sales from their newsletters and making sure that their advertisers were happy because they were getting a substantial amount of click-throughs because the ads were personalized. We also thought about, for a media and publishing company, what it would take to drive increased circulation or increased adoption of their other brands and magazines through upsell, cross-sell, and renewals of their media brands. And so if we were going to send a personalized email newsletter like this, we started to think about, well, what are the advantages of doing this? And when we looked at it, across all of our clients, the clients that are driving the most revenue from their email programs are personalizing their email newsletters. And we've seen across the industry an 81% increase in click-through rates, a 72% increase in open rates, and a 41% increase in, I guess, conversions, if you will, depending on the call to action. So if all the metrics are that great when you personalize an email, why is it that 70% of brands are still failing to personalize their emails more? Well, we think it's really because of the following challenges that most of our customers and people in the industry have around personalization. And we broke it down really into 3 different categories. And really the formula that we believe is the right formula for personalization is having the right data. And for a lot of companies, this is a big challenge. Their data is in a bunch of different databases. It's not accessible. They don't have it integrated with their email platform, so they're unable to do sort of circulation renewals or upgrades because the data is not there to do that. We also realize that content is a major challenge for a lot of our customers to personalize their newsletters, not only on being able to access the right content, but being able to support enough content for the different variations of the newsletter depending on a subscriber's interest. Think about if you're going to personalize 1,000 emails, and some of those emails require you to have an image for a male or a female or a high-value customer versus maybe a new customer. It's a big resource constraint for a lot of companies to be able to produce that type of content. Their internal resources don't support it. The other is, of course, automating all of this, automating the data, automating the content, and automating the deployment of the campaign has been a huge challenge for a lot of our customers, whether it's because they don't have the technical resources to do that or the platform that they're using currently can't support the automation capabilities required to do that level of personalization. And so we're going to take a look today at all three of these and try to provide the audience with some ideas that they could implement after this and try to at least do some more personalization with their newsletters at every step of one of these equation levels. So let's dive in. The first one is the data, right? So what counts? We look at data into 4 different buckets. The first bucket being customer data, and we view that as your CRM data, your e-commerce data, maybe it's your loyalty data. It's data that you be providing to your ESP so that they can then store that data and do some personalization around that. The second bucket is analytic data, and we view that as maybe data that's being enhanced through algorithms or some sort of data science. It could be your data that you're pulling from your website analytics, like an Omniture or Google Analytics, but it's basically data that, another third-party data set that needs to be considered when looking at your data. The third would be system data, and that's really up to the ESP, and that's tracking the email engagement of your subscribers, opens, clicks, bounces, social shares, any data that's really a telling story of how engaged the subscribers are with your newsletters. And then the final bucket is enhanced data, and I like to think of this one as the data that you don't have that you wish you had. This is where maybe you want to know whether your audience was male or female to help provide better guidance for advertisers around types of ads that would work, or maybe demographic data around age, household income, those type of things. And a lot of companies are able to provide that data and append it to your email file. And so when we sit down with our clients and ask them how they are on each one of these buckets, I don't think we've ever sat down with a client and they've been able to feel confident that they've got, one, all of this data in a place where it's accessible, and two, they're storing this data in the ESP so that there's the ability to drive the personalization with the data. And so we really try to focus our efforts when working with clients around where they stand with these buckets and how to improve their data to be able to drive that personalization. As far as when we start to build out our newsletters with our clients, there's a couple different approaches that we've seen common in the industry and work. One would be the behavioral-driven approach, where you're not going to really provide any type of different options for the subscribers to choose from when selecting a newsletter. It's mostly driven around behavioral data on the website. It's in a more, I would say, an advanced approach to driving your newsletter content. The more common approach that we see in the industry is the ability to have email subscriptions to specific content categories, and basing those content categories either around your analytics, so you're looking at your Google Analytics and saying these are the most popular topics, or these are the most popular content brands, and basically creating newsletters for those different topics or content categories. From there, the subscriber obviously has a chance to opt in and basically be engaged with those topics. We've seen another approach, and we're actually working with our clients on this type of hybrid approach where you have the ability for your subscribers to opt into different categories, which then ultimately creates one newsletter for them, and all the categories are grouped into one newsletter. And from there, subscribers have the ability to check on or off certain content categories from the newsletter. So if you look to the right over there, you'll see that in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that there's a subscribe checkbox, and it shows the user that you are subscribed to this type of content category. And if you don't want to be subscribed, then you can unsubscribe from those content categories through the Preference Center. And you can see at the very bottom in the purple there, it's suggesting other content categories that they may want to subscribe to increase the adoption of all the different content categories this publisher offers. So this is a hybrid of both the behavioral-driven as well as the more of the customer-driven approach for the content. One of the other ways that we've seen a lot of our clients drive more personalization through their newsletters is by creating a progressive opt-in and opt-out process. And this is one that we encourage all of our clients to look at and try to adopt in some form or fashion. It's the concept of not just asking for the email address and the type of email newsletters that they want to receive, but it's then taken them through a multi-step process to gather more information about their likes, about who they are, and that way you can leverage that data to either drive better advertising, monetization of the newsletters, or better content recommendations. And this can be done in a way where you're not making the process so strenuous on the user that they won't complete it and sign up for your newsletters. You can make it so that once they hit submit on that very first page, they're automatically signed up for those newsletters, and afterwards any information they fill out on those progressive pages would just be extra data and extra information that you could use for better personalization. So even if you cannot do the behavioral personalization, I would say a more basic approach would be to do something similar to this, and that way you at least have some additional data points to use to drive that initial conversation. So moving on to the content piece of the equation for personalization, I think the very first step that we like to talk with our clients about is obviously the concept around modular templates and being mobile responsive, right, or even fluid responsive. But one of those challenges, again, is the ability for our customers to be able to create enough pieces of content to be able to support the level of personalization that they desire. We found that by doing a modular template where you have literally one master template and you have modular content blocks that you use to create new templates is the best way to create efficiencies with your team. It's the best way to create consistent code and accuracy. And then, of course, from a design perspective, you have a lot of design consistency, and there's some cost benefits to that. So being able to take this header, content 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a footer, and say I want to just use header 2 and content block 5 and content block 6, and then the footer to create multiple different types of newsletters or emails is a really nice way to create efficiencies with your creative team. Once you have the design of the template and the layout that you know that you want to use for your newsletters, now it's about where you're going to be pulling the content in from. One of our clients, SweetJack, which is one of the largest daily deal sites in the country, they are in 200 different markets nationwide. They do a daily deal from and every single subscriber gets a unique offer, as well as pulls in content from a number of resources from the company. So every offer is unique from their CRM. We We also pull in blog articles from their blog. We pull in content from their Facebook page. So we're pulling in social content. We're pulling in articles or dynamic content that have certain expiration dates around them, where you see that blog is actually an editable article and what counts. And so we're actually creating this newsletter leveraging all the content sources that are available for this brand to create a very personalized experience for their customers. And it's just a great example, I think, of not just thinking of one source of content, but looking at all the sources of content and then pulling it all into one newsletter to create a unique experience. We also are working with a client, our vendor, Boomtrain, that is allowing a lot of our publishers and other clients of ours to do one-to-one behavioral personalization based on web behavior on their site. And so being able to automate the content in their email newsletters based on what people have clicked on, what they have looked at, what they have searched on the site, but basically being able to automate that process for content recommendations within their newsletters, even down to the subject line being personalized based on that subscriber's past search or past web behavior, and even mobile app behavior and email behaviors taken into consideration to their algorithms to be matched or to basically personalize the content. Another trend that we're seeing in the marketplace is real-time content, right? So another way to automate that content is be able to pull in content from your social feeds. So real-time email or live clicker, movable ink, any one of those type of companies are really providing our customers the ability to, one, display live video in email. You can do countdown timers, live feeds such as pulling in your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed or Instagram feed into an email so that the latest post or the latest Instagram photo is current in the email. Live images, so based on weather conditions or based on geolocation, they're changing the images for those individual subscribers. Doing live web scrapes from your site, so not having to pull in the content manually, but being able to actually pull that in automatically from your site into the newsletter. And then, of course, live maps. So if there was a need to show, where a subscriber is located and the proximity of their location to other assets of your company, that's another way to do it too. So again, automating the content process, there's a number of ways that they're really providing a personalized experience for your subscribers. On the monetization side, there's a number of ways that you can personalize your newsletters, either using dynamic statements or leveraging ad networks within the What Counts platform and many email platforms today. If you have the data available in the platform, you can do dynamic ads based on any of the data fields that you're storing in the platform so that you're serving up potentially a more personalized ad experience. A couple examples would be if obviously you know someone's gender, you can display a gender-specific ad, or if you know maybe what mobile device they're using, you can maybe highlight which apps are more available for them on the device, or if you know their customer lifetime value. Again, if that's being stored in the email platform, you can serve up potentially more incentivizing offers for your high-value customers than your other customers. Ad networks like Live Intent and DoubleClick are great for monetizing the newsletters and providing personalized ads. They're able to obviously do real-time bidding on ad inventory and be able to display ads based on some of the fields that we just showcased in the dynamic statements. So if you're not looking at those solutions, I highly recommend looking at some of them and seeing how they can add value to your organization. Another great example of dynamic content that we've seen a lot of our publishers use is the ability to generate upsells or cross-sells of their other brands or other assets. An easy way to do that is certainly just to look at the subscribers, subscription data, and then have in their dynamic content that would push them either to maybe renew their subscription if their expiration date is within 30 days, or if they've signed up for a print subscription but they haven't signed up for the digital subscription. There's an opportunity to do an up or a cross-sell there, or obviously on an upsell, looking at whether or not they're subscribed to any of the other brands that are in your portfolio, and that's the example there on the right with AARP. Obviously, the logic there is saying if they're not in travel, then show this travel. If not in health, then show the health call to action, and if not in money, then show there. So again, dynamic content to really drive the business goals for the organization. Finally, automation. Like I said, none of this is going to be possible if you can't automate everything that we're doing. And some of the examples that we've been talking about today, such as Boom Train and Live Intent, those are both automated type of solutions. We have the ability here at What Counts, and a lot of other platforms do too, to be able to pull content in from external resources. We have something called XSLT Get, where we could actually pull in an XML feed or an RSS feed and then structure that data in a way that we can then turn it into HTML and then store that content as an article in the platform, and then the article would then be populated into an email template. This is the way that we do it with a lot of our daily deal sites, a lot of other media and publishers that we work with. It's a way to pull content in from an automated place and store that in an email from a personalized view. The other is obviously on the automation of the deployment. So we see automation really into two buckets, one being time-based campaigns and the other being behavioral-based. Time-based certainly being more straightforward around if you're going to have a newsletter go out every Friday, you don't need to manually go in every Friday and deploy that campaign. You can have it be set up on the calendar and have it repeat every day, or even repeat on the specific day that you want, so that you can eliminate that step in your process. On the behavioral-based side, this is one where we have a life cycle workflow feature in the platform where customers can set up these drip campaigns, and these campaigns can be based on the engagement level of their subscribers. So an example of this would be, if their subscribers are not opening or clicking on their newsletters in a given period of time, that they can be then maybe moved to a less frequent email schedule of the newsletter. So maybe your email newsletter is going out weekly, but over the 3 months that your subscriber has signed up, they have not engaged in your newsletter, you can then maybe move them to a more of a monthly frequency, and basically work on your frequency from that behavioral perspective. So a couple of different ways to kind of automate the campaigns across the features. I want to take a minute now just to kind of dive into some other best practices around newsletter personalization, just tips that you guys could take and maybe implement on your end. The first is we always get the question around, what are averages for opens, clicks, and deliverability metrics. I think obviously benchmark metrics are only as good as what they are. I think looking at your industry or looking at your own business in more detail is always going to provide you more insights on what you need to improve. But at a very high level, here's just some general benchmarks. This is from eMarketer. They do a report every year, and they highlight some of these KPIs across the industry. So really, you're looking at about 33% open rates and about 4.3% click-through rates, with about a 96% deliverability rate. So you can sort of gauge your newsletter program based on some of these broader industry benchmarks. But certainly, I would look to more of your own business and your own industry as sort of an indicator of where you are and how you're doing. We always get the question on what's the best day to send. I think a number of people have looked at this, and a lot of the sources are saying Tuesday is still the best day to send your newsletter. Wednesday would be apparently the second best day. So the weekends are obviously not performing well for a lot of people as far as clicks and opens. So certainly if you're looking to figure out what day is the best day, we would always recommend doing an A/B test and kind of maybe metering your email over a 7-day period and seeing how it works for your own individual subscribers. And again, not using the industry benchmarks as a clear indicator of what you should be doing as a business, but certainly try some A/B testing around that to see which day gets the highest opens and clicks for you and your readers. The other is just around brand impression and how your emails show up in the inbox. We've seen a lot of our clients with their email newsletters just make it much easier for the subscriber to understand who the sender is and what it is the email is about. And that's done through having a very clear and recognizable decorative name as well as a subject line. There are 2 examples here. One's house, a home improvement or a home design, I guess, media company, and they've got a very clear decorative name, and the subject line is very clear as far as what the topics are in the newsletter. Restoration Hardware, they do a very good job as well, I think. I may never even open up a Restoration Hardware email, but I know that they're having a sale, and if I need to go buy something, I got to do it in the next 72 hours. So it's all about brand impression too sometimes, even if you don't open it. Subject lines, always a hot topic for a lot of our clients. Obviously, having a personalized subject line will increase your open rates. There's a few resources that our team likes to use when analyzing subject lines and giving feedback to our customers. I highly recommend that you go check out all these resources, see which ones provide you with the most insight for helping your organization. Subjectline.com is a great tool where you can type in your subject line. It'll give you a score, and it'll tell you, obviously, why you didn't score 100 out of 100 and what you could potentially do to optimize your subject line for opens. Litmus has a great tool where you could actually type in your subject line, and it's going to show you in all the different ISPs how your subject line is going to be viewed, and you can see if your subject line is going to be cut off, if all the characters are supported, et cetera, et cetera. And then Subject Line Gold is another newer product by Alchemy Works, and it's a subscription model, but you can get in there and you can do some testing very similar to these 2 products and get some feedback about which words are the best, which words are not affected. They've taken it down to a very granular level to help clients understand what words to use in subject lines to increase open. So great tools that you should recommend checking out. When it comes to Preheader Text, it's another great tool to, I guess, just pay attention to as far as increasing open rates. As far as Preheader Text, make sure that it's a clear call to action as far as what you want them to do in the email or what the content's about. It should support the subject line as far as what the purpose of the email is. It's a great opportunity if you want to include details maybe about the content, such as the coupon details or anything that you're going to really be wanting to have the subscriber take action on. There are different character lengths depending on the device or the browser, but you can sort of see here what some good pre-header text lines look like versus obviously the column on the right over there. They're really not leveraging this real estate in a way that's enticing the subscriber to open that email. If you look down at the bottom there, you see John Lewis, what's hot for August, and the line below that is view email in browser. So certainly that doesn't add any value, and it doesn't make me want to open the email anymore. But if you look at some of the other ones on the left, they're much more detailed about saying, hey, $5 off a coupon or something like that. Litmus has a great tool that we always like to use and recommend for just previewing your email content, all the different IST inboxes, and you can see how your content's going to render. Highly recommend that y'all take a look at that tool and just see how your email is going to render across all the different devices. And then, of course, understanding the different capabilities of the different devices as well as operating systems and what they support versus what they don't support. Everybody wants to do video and email or do live images or live feeds. More and more ISPs are supporting the ability to do some rich media content, but it's good to always have a clear indication of what's going to be supported. And what I would always recommend is take a look at your subscription database. Take a survey on which ISPs dominate your list. If you have Gmail that heavily dominates your list, then really make sure you understand what can be supported on Gmail, and that will allow you, obviously, to design your email in a way that you're going to optimize the capabilities of Gmail. And then, of course, looking across how your clients are engaging with your newsletters. Is it on mobile, tablet, or a desktop? And that will also give you some insights of how you want to maybe format your content. Finally is measurement. Depending on your business, you obviously have a key KPI that you're measuring for how well your newsletters are doing. For media and publishing, it may be how much website traffic you're generating from your newsletters. It may be how much ad revenue you're generating. For maybe a traditional e-commerce player, it could be how much revenue through products sold. For travel or hospitality, it could be around how many bookings are you getting from those newsletters or traffic back to the site. So first and foremost, make sure you understand what the goal of your newsletter is and what KPI you're going to be monitoring to try to make improvements. And then the other thing I would recommend is compare your newsletters across all the other different types of emails that you send. If you look on the lower right, there's a revenue per email, and break out your emails into the different categories of emails. Are you sending life cycle emails such as maybe welcome emails, re-engagement emails, birthday emails, anniversary emails? Look at how much revenue those emails are generating versus maybe your traditional promotional emails versus your newsletter, and try to really group those and understand which ones are driving the most revenue for your company or the most effective for your business, and that way you can optimize them based on that. Final thoughts. Yeah, we're going to basically be we're going to be hosting another webinar that's going to be talking about abandoned cart campaigns. That'll be coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. And then also, we're going to be at IRCE in Chicago on June 2nd to the 5th. So if you're going to be out there, let us know. We'd be happy to obviously meet with you and learn more about your business and see if there's any opportunities to work with your company. And then finally, we'll be at the High Tech Conference in Austin, Texas on June 15th and 18th. It's a big hospitality technology conference and travel conference, so we're excited to be out there and look forward to meeting many of you there as well. As far as contacting us and getting in touch with us after this demo, there's a couple of different ways that you can engage with our team. If you're interested in seeing our platform and seeing how we will obviously help you guys drive more personalization through the tools in our platform, we do a Tuesday tour every Tuesday at 2 p.m. It's about a 30-minute tour. It goes over some of the high-level features of our platform. So feel free to sign up at whatcounts.com. You can sign up for the demo and jump on that and just see a nice high-level view of the platform. And then if you're interested in talking with any of our people over at Agents of Email, the agency side of our team, to work on either an audit of your existing campaigns to understand where there might be opportunities to drive more personalization of your newsletters, feel free to go on to agentsofemail.com, and there's a contact us form there, and we can start that conversation and see if there's any opportunities for us to help you drive some more personalization with your newsletters. And
awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, we are open for questions, I guess. We moved through that.
Yeah, we do have a couple of questions for you from the audience, and if anybody else has questions, feel free to chat them into me right now, and we'll have Mike answer them. So the first question I have for you I think this was in reference to the slide where you were showing off our client SweetJack and how they pull in a bunch of different content. So how are you, can you just talk about how we pulled in that content from the SweetJack website into the email template within What Counts and kind of how that works?
Sure. We have a feature in the platform called Smart Get, and it allows us to pull content in from external public URLs. And so a lot of what we did with SweetJack is set it up so that we could use that feature to pull in the content, whether it was on their website or whether it was on their blog, we could pull that content in and consume it.
Cool. Awesome. Another question is sort of about the type of newsletters or the type of emails we can help people send. So we do a lot of we help businesses send email marketing. But what about individuals with newsletters? How would you address the concepts that you presented here for people who send their own emails?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you're an individual and you're building your own newsletters, there's a great tool that's out there, and I'm just trying to remember. It's Flash. I think it's Flashpoint. I'll have to recall it, but what's cool about this tool is that it's free. You set up your account. It connects with any email ISP that you're using. So if you're using Gmail to communicate with your customers, this tool will work with it, or Outlook. It'll connect with all the different ones that are out there. And it's neat because you basically type in it's called Flash Issue. I just remembered it. So look up Flash Issue, and it allows you to actually go out and type in what different content topics you want to be a thought leader on, and it'll pull content in from all those different resources into the Flash Issue platform. And from there, you just have to drag and drop the content into your newsletter template, and then you can literally publish it out, and it comes across as your own personalized newsletter. A lot of companies actually use them. It's a really neat tool. Like I said, it's free. If you're doing your own personal newsletters, I highly recommend checking it out. The owner of the company is a serial entrepreneur, a great person, and he would love to have your feedback. So feel free to email me if you have any questions about that, and I can get you some more information. But Flash Issue is it.
Great. Thanks for answering that. There's another question that just came in, and it's about our behavioral content partner, Boomtrain. Can you explain a little more about how Boomtrain populates the content in these newsletters and how exactly it works?
Yeah, sure. So Boomtrain is one of our partners, and we're building out a deep integration with them as we speak. But basically the way it works is Boomtrain will place their JavaScript library on your site, and that allows them to track both unanimous as well as identified users of the site or visitors of the site. If they're unanimous and then they eventually sign up for your newsletter, all their past web browser behavior will be assigned to that email address afterwards. So it's great for that reason as well. But essentially, they track all the web browser behavior of your visitors, and in addition to that, they also run algorithms on the data to take into consideration, search intent, semantic data, mood, a number of other factors, and then from there, they make a score for each subscriber. So each subscriber has their own content score on their platform, and from there, then they make content recommendations based on that score. And when you're building your newsletter in What Counts, the only thing you would do is just have to place their tracking pixel in the email, and then when you deploy the email campaign, we call their system and pull in the content that's recommended for that individual subscriber, and so that every single subscriber has a one-to-one personalized newsletter. And they have the ability where you don't have to have your entire newsletter powered by them. A lot of publishers and editors that we work with, their editors are still driving the content because they are obviously that's their job, is to be content curators and to inform their readers of what's important. So you don't have to have your entire newsletter be powered by that. It could just be certain sections of the newsletter. So your editorial staff can still dictate what's going to be in the newsletter, and then a certain section can just be used with the Boom Train behavioral personalization. If anyone has any questions about that, please email me, and happy to make introductions to Boom Train's team and or provide any documentation that you might want to look at.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining that. I think another question that just came in is about timing and how long it would take to implement some of these things. It's more of a general question, but maybe you can speak to each of the items that you talked about and what the timing is and how you would break that down.
That's a great question. I think it all depends on, obviously, the level of personalization that you're looking to do. As far as setting up, maybe a progressive preference center, those tools are inherently in our platform and are easy to set up with the help of our team, and they're no charge to the customers, and so those are pretty straightforward, I think. And so even if you just wanted to give your subscribers the opportunity to opt into different types of email newsletter categories and or collect additional data about them during that sign-up process, that's a pretty straightforward and easy step to take to get started to do more personalization. As far as implementing something like a Boom Train, something more advanced, that really is about, from what we've seen, usually a 2 to 4 week process. It requires a little bit of engineering work on our client side to implement the Java library that they need to put in, but not that long of a process. And then obviously it takes some time to start collecting data, usually a couple months before that recommendation becomes powerful enough to make the right recommendations. So once it's implemented, it does take some time there. As far as implementing something like live intent for email advertising personalization, that's very straightforward. It's a simple pixel that we put in our templates, and that powers the, they have a live tag that we just put in our templates, and it's very straightforward. On the data integration side, so if you're looking to do some more specific upsells, cross-sells or renewals, those type of things for your other brands, that's going to require us to store a lot of the data that you have in your other databases in our platform. We do support a relational database, and so we are able to store different data tables depending on the different data that you'd want to store with us. And that's just a matter of obviously understanding what the export file capabilities are of those databases, and then importing that or any integrations that we already have. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think that was very helpful, Mike. I do have another question that came in from somebody. They're on a very small marketing team. It's only a couple of people, and so even though she wants to implement these types of personalization in her newsletter and her email campaigns, she doesn't have a lot of time. She has limited resources to do so. So what would you suggest for somebody who wants to do this kind of stuff, but either doesn't have the time or the manpower to do it?
Yeah, I would start small and just try to take baby steps to get to a more sophisticated level of personalization. Even just having maybe their first name in the newsletter or doing something to that extent doesn't require a lot. And even just having that level of personalization, maybe even doing something where you have their first name in the subject line. We've seen that drive a lot of opens, and again, those little tiny things like that could help. The other would be, if you have a small and limited internal team, as most of our clients do, and limited budget, maybe there's an opportunity for not to sell our agency services, but that's sort of the value add that we do bring to the table for our customers is where we could maybe implement some of these things quicker, faster, or we could just give feedback that otherwise would not be available. So maybe there's opportunity out there.
Great. Thanks for answering that. That wraps it up for our questions. So thank you so much for presenting today, Mike. We appreciate it. And thank you for everyone who's on the webinar for attending today. We hope you learned a lot. You can get in touch with Mike, as he said, if you need more information or want to ask him more questions. He'd be happy to talk to you. And you can reach him by email at npiersa, P-I-E-R-S-A, @whatcounts.com, and he'll help you out.